Ready?
I guess.
Okay.
I look at Steve's Jobsy today, but yeah.
I didn't get the
Right,
memo.
worn black.
I worn black. Should I just
No.
change quick? Okay.
That's too late.
Ryan, weird though, dude. Like your old man, fuddy-duddy, never got the memo.
Hello and welcome to Bleed, the show about advertising and more with myself, Ryan Whyte, Jacque Moodley.
Hello.
And Alex Hope-Bailie. Okay. I'm Ryan Whyte, I'm a graduate of the AAA School of Advertising, and I'm currently working as a freelance graphic designer. I have no awards worth mentioning, but we'll get into why that's a thing. And for me, I'm more interested in creativity. So that's what we're here to talk about, right? So why is the show called Bleed?
Good question.
Good question. Okay, so the answer is twofold. Bleed is a print production term in advertising, and my first year lecturer, he had this huge phrase written on his wall, and it was eat, sleep, breathe advertising. And I thought, wouldn't it be clever if we just add bleed to that? Because bleed's an ad term, you know, advertising is a concept, you know.
Oh,
so
bro.
I thought, great, eat, sleep, breathe, lead advertising. It's great, right? It's good.
It's pretty accurate.
I can see Alex is very impressed. Okay,
Yeah.
so will we have anything profound or of value to say in this discussion?
Who knows?
Rhetorical question. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. You can answer. From my side, probably not, you know. But will we have fun recording? From my side, definitely, because I enjoy spending time with Jacque Moodley and Alex Hope-Bailie. So I'm going to have a good time. We've got Jacque Moodley on the show, as always. AKA, As always, aka Falcone.
AKA
Art director. So you're an art director, beat maker.
I'm an art director. Also, have no awards worth mentioning, but I think you win the Best Friend Award. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate
you can
that.
hold that one. No, I'm joking. I'm an art director. I've also graduated from AAA School of Advertising years ago, and I've been in the industry for about 12 years now, 11, 12 years, somewhere there, and loving life.
Yeah.
Over to you, Alex.
Oh, yes. And then, so in home studio, we've got Alex Hope-Bailie, aka Alexandra the Great, as I've decided to start calling you. And so you're a producer, digital producer and print producer, right?
No, I'm more through the line producer,
There you go.
stylist, basically just a problem solver.
Okay, so we'll get into the intricacies of that maybe a little bit later. Also former MD, right? Former MD of it. Yeah.
Interim MD. Yeah.
Interim MD.
I don't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. Caretaker.
No,
Also,
younger. That's why I chose to stay out of those roles and just produce and freelance.
Okay.
Way too much.
Okay. Also budding horticulturalist.
Well, yeah, I try. I'm not skilled, but I try.
Okay. And the last thing that I've just got written here in my notes is professional Wanderluster.
Oh.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. If I could afford to, I would be traveling permanently.
Well, that's the thing, like with Wanderluster is you lusting after it. You're not necessarily actually doing it, right? But it's gonna happen.
But I think most people are advertising Wanderlust after most things, you know, because we just work all the time and dream about better things.
Wow.
Or am I getting too early, guys?
That's so jaded. Okay.
Sunday morning. Oh, happy Women's Day, by the way.
Oh, happy Women's Day, Alex.
Women's Day.
Thank you, Jacque. I knew you would bring that up. I wasn't really.
Wow, that's so
very important. We have representation on this podcast.
Okay. Okay, so the next thing I want to just chat about is why we're doing a podcast. or a YouTube channel, Instagram feed, blog, whatever you want to call it.
While we're being social, basically.
Because I don't know. I think like the market's kind of flooded with this shit, and everyone seems to be doing their own show, Instagram stories the whole time. So like, why are we doing this? It's a good question.
Why?
I thought, let me just put that straight out there.
Well, I guess I imagined you guys just wanting another reason to collaborate and to talk to each other and converse.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Making the best of our time.
From my side, like I just enjoy spending time with you guys and add people. I love add people. The industry is one thing. We'll get into that, but like I really enjoy the kind of people that the industry attracts. You know, it's like really nice, fun, interesting people, and I just want an excuse to spend time with them and record it. You know, it's kind of
my bit
perverted, actually.
It's the best place to meet. It's a good place to meet people. Advertising.
Okay, fantastic. So now that we've established why we're doing this, well, like my reasons. I think we should get into what got us interested in the creative field or creative fields. So like, Jacque, you're also a music producer, right? So I think we've all got like a little bit of a creative outlet, you know? And I think advertising is the thing that makes us money. And then we kind of like do the fun things on the side, like side hustles kind of. What got you interested in being in a creative field in the first place?
Yeah, I'll go first. I really liked watching Generations on SABC One, and there was a guy called Archie Maroka, and he was like the main dude, and he had an advertising agency, and he just like was cool, and he'd like tell people this is a terrible idea, and he'd throw the papers out the boardroom. And I just wanted to be him. I just wanted to throw people's papers and say, this idea is shit. Fuck off. So then I was like, man, advertising sounds cool. How do I become Archie Maroka? And then one day the AAA School of Advertising came to my high school, and they're like, hey, here's all these cool posters and ads we've done. Do you want to do this? And I was like, fuck yeah, do I get paid? And they said, very little. And I was like, sign me up. And I went to AAA, and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Okay. It's been cool. It's, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I just wanted to be Archie Maroka, man, from Generations. So shout out to SABC One and the Zanzibar show. Thanks.
Never anyone to say that Generations was their inspiration for joining advertising.
Completely. That's it. Yeah.
That blew my mind. Like,
but I mean, obviously you had some skills though, right? So you could draw, that kind of thing.
I just wanted to draw for a living, man. Like I think I did well at school, like above avs. But I didn't like any of the other shit that was going on. I just wanted to draw in the back of my textbook, like logos or like cool cartoons or whatever. I actually really wanted to be a comic book illustrator, but we didn't really have like the things to do it here. Well, at least at the time, I didn't really get into it, but I was like, I like drawing. I can make money from it, really. The money wasn't really important to me. I just wanted to draw, and you know, as a job. I thought that would be a cool job. And then yeah, I don't draw much anymore.
Which is
that's kind of sad.
It's a crying shame, man. I've seen some of your drawings. Your drawings are great. And yeah, I guess from my side, it's like, I wouldn't say similar. So like, just in terms of the drawing part. So like when I was younger, I was good at drawing, and I remember like in grade 1, there was this kid who taught me how to draw a shark, and it was the most amazing thing. Because back then, I mean, you know, kids could draw like dogs and cats; those were easy ones. And this kid showed me how to draw a shark, and I was like blown away. Like, how did he know where the gills go and the fins? And I think, yeah, it kind of started from there, and I just really enjoyed drawing. And then when like X-Men came out and Mortal Kombat and Ninja Turtles, that was my favorite thing, to just redraw all those characters. And especially like Mortal Kombat, you know, Kano rips that heart out and it's like beating and you draw the blood. Like as a kid, it was the most amazing thing. I was like, those are the kinds of things that went on in my mind. You know, you always got to watch out for the quiet kid in the corner. It's like, oh, look, he's so peaceful. No, there's lots of crazy shit going on in there.
Yeah.
And then I think from that, growing up in the 90s with the whole grunge phase, for me, the first time I realized, okay, cool, I would like to get into, you know, a creative field was when kind of like listening to Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers and seeing like band artwork and album covers. I was like, people are definitely getting paid for this. Like, who's making these gig posters and shit? So like, it seems like just such a fun job, you know, to design an album cover or come up with a concept. I remember like, for me, the album cover that I remember from the 90s, the first one that I remember was the Nirvana Nevermind album artwork. It's like this baby that's swimming in like a, I don't know, it's like in water, and there's like a little fish hook with a dollar. And it was like, that was the first time I realized, wow, that's like a conceptual thing. This baby's just born and he's really chasing money kind of thing. And I was like, okay, this must be an industry where you can do cool shit and get paid. So that for me was like, cool, let's investigate this. That was the first time I realized, like, okay, I can actually make a job of this thing, you know, and it's not just like a fun hobby, you know. Anyways, that's me. What about you, Alex?
So mine definitely wasn't a calling. I've always been seriously into arts, fashion, and music. I was a classically trained and operatically trained singer in high school, so traveled a lot of Europe when I was 15 to sing. And that was like the focus of my life growing up. I never really thought about university or any of that stuff. So when it came time to apply, I was like, okay, cool, what makes me happy? And I was like, music and arts. Do I want to study music? No. Sort of done what I can do as a vocalist. So then I was like, cool, I'll go to Stellenbosch and study jewelry design. And told my mom, and she was like, no, bro. You can do architecture, you can do science, you can do whatever you want, but you're not going to Stellenbosch. So I was like, cool, what are my choices? And she was like, Rhodes or UPE or NMMU. So I was like, okay, cool, Rhodes it is. And literally first day at Rhodes choosing my subjects, I was like, cool. So my sister studied drama. I know what that's like. It'll be interesting. I'll study drama. I'll do some psych. Maybe I'll throw a few science courses in there. So I did a BA, BSc and had no idea what I was doing. And after my first year, hated it. And I just went to my parents, and thankfully I'd made a deal with them and just had said, you know, if I'm not happy, I'm out. And then I'm either going to go travel or I'm going to go to Joburg and just start working at the bottom. And historically, my family's been in the industry a really long time. I've got aunts and uncles that are actors. I've got uncles that are film directors, cousins that are producers. My brother's an animator. My dad is a musician and was also, which I just found out, a PM at one stage. So it sort of just happened. I moved to Joburg, started out as a production assistant at the very, very bottom of the rung, and jumped around and fiddled and basically fell into production, but also fell in love with styling and art direction, and then went back to production. So bit of a roller coaster journey, but it was never really a calling. It just sort of happened.
That's rad. And you showed me one of your pictures the other day that you painted when you were 6.
Definitely think I was a better artist as a kid. Still life was my forte in high school. Definitely not portraiture or caricature. Yeah. But yeah, my dad is always pushing me to be more creative and to, he's like, just go draw, go paint, go do something. But I'm so pedantic about what I do that I'll do a first draft and be like, oh no, that's shit, just stop it. Yeah. So I always, like, if I came to my parents' house, you would see like there's half painted tablecloths or half screen printed something or a half done drawing, because I'm always like, oh, this is cool, let's draw. Oh, no, never mind, not happy with that. Put it away, walk away. So yeah,
So
production.
by the time you got
Control.
into advertising, you're already used to revisions and reverts.
Mhm.
Jacque with a little chuckle there.
Like, that gets my heart.
Okay, so I think the next thing for me is like, okay, so we've established we're drawn to like the creative field, or like music, or I don't know, art, and like you studied drama and that kind of thing. So we realized we were on this kind of road. So you really went into the whole studying thing. So that's like the next thing is like, how did you decide that this was the particular thing that I want to study, and how did that all happen with with where you decided to go and study and stuff? Alex kind of touched on it, so yeah, that's actually where I met Jacque, but we didn't actually meet. Kind of
Yeah, I
just
don't like it. I was like, oh, this guy, what a
yeah,
had a
this
cool
guy too much
Way
like
when I met,
what's that?
I said I reacted the same way when I first met him.
Oh, what a douche. Yeah. No, but he had a cool Honda Ballad, and I was really into like, I think Fast and Furious was like really at its peak. And I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
a Honda Ballad's a cool car to like, do up in like style. And I was like, man, this cool guy, I mean, he's not cool, but this guy's got a cool car. Maybe he's a cool guy. And then he wasn't. And I was like, ugh. And then later on we started working together, and I was like, ugh. He didn't have the Honda, but he was all right. So
yeah.
it became me.
You actually didn't recognize me, so we started chatting, and then he was like, oh, you're the guy who drove the Honda. And I was like, yeah, okay, I remember you. I remember your car, at least.
I remember your car because I'm Indian. I know cars before I know people. It's just kind of our thing. It's my love language.
But also you've never really been really good at remembering people, Jacque. That's not your forte.
It's because you don't have a car, Alex. If I met your car, I'd have been like, oh, that's Alex with the, I don't know,
With the
Kia
Uber.
Picanto.
I was going to say like Benny Cooper,
Oh yeah.
but hey.
No,
So yeah, like,
with yeah, I was saying like AAA kind of seduced me in high school, like very predatory.
yeah.
They were like, hey, you like these posters that we've done? I think it was Charmaine. I can't remember what the lecture was. I feel it was like Charmaine. And she's like, hey, you like these? Like, I think they were posters for like one of the dog food brands. It was like Epol or something. Not the yellow one. See how good they were. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, it was like one of the like random dog food posters. But they were like bright red and bright green and bright yellow. They're like very primary. And I was like, that's a cool poster. And she's like, yeah, you can do this if you come to AAA. And this was like grade 9, grade 10. So by like grade 9, I was like, okay, I know where I'm going to go study. I didn't even know what I want to study. I didn't even think about what I want to be when I grew up. I was just like, okay, well, there's a place where I can draw. I'll just study there.
Cool.
And that was it, man. Like grade 9, I was like, cool, I'm just going to AAA. That's all I knew. I know AAA. And then I heard rumblings of like Vega. But there's something about AAA accreditation. I think at AAA you could go international. And for some reason I thought, I'm going to be a global citizen. AAA is the place to go. Because some of my friends were like talking about Vega. And I was like, nah, Vega ain't about that international life. I've never left the country, at least for work. I've just always been here. But I still got that AAA accreditation. So if the opportunity comes, I'm sorted. It's been 12 years. But,
yeah.
hey?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Well, that's it. No, I chose early on, man. You? How did you go to AAA?
Yeah, for me, like, I decided to take a gap year because I didn't know what I wanted to study. And I was supposed to go and work at a country club in Boca Raton in Florida.
Wow.
Doing odd jobs like driving golf carts or whatever.
That sounds cool.
That thing fell through because of the 9/11 attacks. Sorry to bring the tone down, but they canceled they canceled the application. So I was like, I don't know what to do now. It's too late to register, and I don't want to like do a panic decision. So I landed up staying at home for a whole year just with my mum.
Nice.
It was great, you know, like we
Still
drank
driving golf carts around and stuff at home.
drank tea, yeah, like watered the garden, and that was during the day. And then in the evening, I would go out and get drunk, you know, because I had like a part-time job at Edgar's retail store, and I managed to make enough money to go and have a good time and party. So like some of my other friends were already in university, so I just went and partied with them for like a whole year. And I don't regret it at all. I think it was like probably one of the best times. It was like early retirement almost, you know, before I've even started working. So that was my gap year. And then I used that gap year to decide what I wanted to study. And my options were, well, things that I were interested in was advertising. Because we also had like family friends that recommended that they'd been in the industry, and they were like, okay, cool. If you're good at drawing, you should think advertising, do Vega or AAA. And then I was thinking about maybe studying it after. And then I don't know, for me, just the way my parents raised me, they were like, you got to be responsible, you got to have like an office job. And I looked at the two and I was like, advertising, you kind of still go to an office, you're in meetings and stuff. Film, it's kind of like not really. So just the perception for me was like, you'll get paid more regularly in an advertising job versus film. I don't know if that's true, but I think you got to be self-driven to be in film, you know, you got to be like really driven. And for me, it's just kind of like, I kind of like wander aimlessly and stumble upon things, you know. And if I got into film, I don't know. Maybe it's still a possibility in the future, you know. So we've got a bit of experience in being on shoots now and art directing and all that kind of stuff.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, then started studying at AAA, and I remember the one standout story for me was we had this lecturer, right? First year lecturer, and he was kind of like a little bit of a terror. He was this English guy, and his catchphrase was, I'll nail your asses to the wall. He always used to say that. I don't know if you remember. And he's like, if your artwork's late, I'll nail your asses to the wall. If it's mounted incorrectly, I'll nail your asses. And he used to say it in that like American accent, but he was actually like British.
Just so weird.
But anyways, he had all these phrases written on the wall, touched on it before, but he was like proper ad man. So he was kind of like, was he well built, or did he just wear really tight t-shirts?
I think he just did push-ups. Like he focused on just upper body, so he could wear the tightest shirts he could, but it was all just like matchsticks below that. He was like that.
He was like a Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, he like rolled up his like shirt sleeves.
Yeah,
for no reason.
Shirt. And he drove like a Mini. So anyways, we had this lecturer, and I remember, like, do you remember the group projects that we had to work on? The group projects were like a little bit hectic because they kind of like simulated what an agency would be like, and the art directors and graphic designers would stick to like one, and the copywriters would have like their little clique, and then the marketing strategy guys had their, and it was so difficult to kind of like, you know, cross-pollinate. But anyways, I remember the one time we would just stuff around. We would just like mess around. So we'd had 2 weeks to do like a project, and we messed around for like a whole week. And then when it came to like the last 3 days, we were like, okay, we actually need to get something. We were like drinking at the pub and just not focusing. And then we had to scramble to do everything in the last 3 days. And I remember we had like all-nighters, and we were late for the presentation. So it was a big presentation, all the lecturers, all the other groups, and we're presenting. They still like accepted us. They were like, okay, cool, you guys are late, but you can present. And it was just like this flurry of like energy and excitement. And for what though? You know, it's like, there was no like real aim to it. You know what I mean? It's just like we're presenting some artwork, and it kind of like felt weird that they simulated this agency experience, and I don't think much has changed actually, because like working in the real world, it's like also the same thing. Like you mess around, and then it's like 3 days before the pitch, you like get all the work ready, and then I don't know. It just feels weird for me. But anyways, so we didn't sleep for like 3 days, and this was like the earliest big thing that happened for me. We all fell asleep on the way home, and my mate fell asleep, and he drove his car off the road and like smashed a pole, and we were all fine. But like for me, that was just like, guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're like 23, 24. We're stressing about like, you know, what? We're not saving lives or anything. We're coming up with catchphrases and like cool imagery. And now we've risked our lives, like driving home in the middle of the day. It was like 3 p.m. and we were all like tired from, you know, working this crazy project. And then anyways, yeah.
You literally did for advertising.
It kind of like, it's like a defining moment almost, where you're like, is this what I'm in for? Do you know what I mean?
I feel like you should have listened to the story the universe was trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is what will happen to you for the rest of your career.
So anyways, we actually got pretty good grades on our group project, so I suppose it was a bit worth it.
Was
I
it?
don't know if your car is with it, but
I just had a little graze on my chin. That was all. It was fine. I'm fine. We were all fine, so it all worked out in the end. But I'm going to share with you just one project that I worked on that was kind of like stand out for me, and it was kind of like we had this brief for Nando's chicken fast food takeaway vibe, and Portuguese style chicken, just for, you know, anyone who doesn't know what Nando's is. And for some reason in like AAA and just I don't know, for some reason it was, we were obsessed with puns. I don't know if that was a thing for you.
I've always liked puns because
For
punchlines.
every project that we worked on, I was like, how do I slip a pun in? And now you know where my dad jokes come from, Alex. Anyways.
both of you are guilty of this, though. Both of you are really guilty of puns in your personal
I
lives.
know. And I don't know why, like advertising brings this need to try and find a pun, and you know, you want to do like a little word play, and it's so cringy. But I remember the one project that I did for Nando's, we had to design like a truck, and it would have like Nando's branding on it, obviously like chickens in transit, like come up with some kind of quirky line. And I remember I did like this cartoon character chicken, right? And it would have various kind of outfits and whatever. And the one character was like a Madonna kind of chicken, and you have like a corset, and she'd have like, you know, the wig and everything and the microphone. And the line was, like a virgin plucked for the very first time.
God. Ryan, that's horrific.
I hope they failed you. I hope you failed.
Oh, I actually got really good grades for that. On the reverse end of the truck, it was like ruffle your tail feathers or something silly like that, because it was, you know, yeah. And then on the other side, I've saved the best for last. It was a scientist chicken, like holding like a test tube or whatever, and it said experimental chicken.
See, that's okay. That
I like that one.
But Madonna though, bro.
Yeah, man. I know. But for some reason, those were the two kind of standout stories for me, starting at AAA. And yeah, I think with that, should we take a break actually?
Okay.
Cool.
So I think if you guys don't want to talk about anything from the previous segment with regards to shenanigans of studying and, you know, like, I don't know, crashing a car into a street pole. If you don't have any of those kind of stories, then that you want to share, you know, this is a safe, not so safe place. You know, it's not going to get anywhere. Okay, then that brings us on to the next segment, which is I know a guy, you know. Jacque, can we have the jingle, please?
Ding, 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 ding. I know a guy.
Thanks for the jingle. So I know a guy is a segment, Alex, you're not aware of this, where we take a deeper dive into existing branding, where someone clearly has like asked a favor of a friend because they didn't really go through an agency. And this is no disrespect to the actual design or ideas that these people have come up with. It's just you can tell. So I'm gonna read out a few, and I just want you guys to react and like maybe share some insight. So the first one is actually a really lovely bookstore in our neighborhood. Alex, you may have seen this this bookstore. It's called Hard Copy Books. Have you been there?
Mm.
Do you know what their payoff line is?
I don't.
Their payoff line is pleasure your shelf.
Wow.
And I feel like that should be said in like a Sean Connery accent. Pleasure your shelf.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's brilliant.
Wow.
Any thoughts there? Because for me, it's kind of like if you take what it means to pleasure yourself, you take what it means to pleasure yourself, which is basically onanism, right? You know, like manual stimulation, right? Jacque is kidding. So
Take notes.
if you break it down, if you deconstruct it, it's like, okay, pleasure yourself, but now my bookshelf is going to have that same kind of pleasure, right? So does it make sense? Does it need to make sense? Is it just like pun for pun's sake, or?
It's fantastic.
I personally think it's pun's sake. Yeah, it's fantastic. Well said, Jacque.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I remembered it. I don't think it's bad. I don't think if you had to, you know, like in a meeting, you suggest that line as a copywriter in an agency, I don't think that kind of line would fly. But it's the kind of line that you would love for it to make it out there. Do you know what I mean? Right? For me, anyways. I'm like, this is great. People are going to love it.
It's probably just the owner. The owner owns the shop is like, oh, pleasure your shelf. Brilliant. They run with it because they're the client. The client can write their own headlines and approve them on the spot.
Often do. Yeah, they often do.
Yeah, man. If you're in charge of your brand, fuck it, man. Go wild. Pleasure your shelf all you want.
Yeah, I think it's either he knew someone or, like you say, he did it himself. You know.
Pleasured himself.
Okay, this one is my favorite, and this company has been around for, honestly, I don't know, like over a decade, and they've been doing well, it seems, because they've stayed open. And it's a company called Just Handle It. I don't know if you know it. So they sell door handles.
Yeah, it's about to be like hardware. Okay.
So they sell door handles and other, but the thing is, like, there's already like a little bit of a pun in there. Just handle it, man. You know what I mean? Their payoff line takes it a step further. So just handle it, I can deal with, that's fine. So the name of the company is called Just Handle It. Their payoff line is, if you can't knob it, just handle it.
I love it, bro. There's
Really?
a Grand Prix for payoff lines.
Alex is in disbelief. This is a real company.
I've seen it. I've seen the billboard. It's a billboard. There's a billboard with this on.
If you can't knob it, just handle it.
Yeah. So they sell knobs as well.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
So if you were looking around to like perhaps knob something and you couldn't, get a handle instead.
Yeah, man. Just handle it.
I think it works, and I love that it's out there. You know, I feel like there should be more.
It works because we're promoting it. So in fact, it's got like so much free media behind it now. Look
Exactly.
at us.
For all
Free
three
media.
of our viewers and listeners, I know of at
Oh.
least 3 viewers / listeners to this particular show that we're recording now.
And they could be looking for knobs and going, fuck, where am I going to find a knob at this time? Just shelf it. What? Just handle.
Pleasure yourself.
How about,
Viewers and
I need
listeners
my study room with lots of books. I need books and I need some door handles. We've got you.
and I need some like below the belt innuendo.
Oh, always the splashing innuendo.
A splash.
I don't know how I feel about it. Eh? I'm a little torn. I mean, maybe they could have just been a little simpler and been like, just don't be a knob. I don't know.
Oh.
And go for a handle. Okay. We should actually visit that store and check it out. I'm sure we could find some good knobs.
I mean, yeah. I wonder what their Instagram handle is. Just
Just handle it.
yeah. Just underscore. Anyways.
Okay.
Any other ones?
So there's the next one is a pizza joint that's recently opened up. I've had their pizza and it's pretty good. It reminds me of like, okay, so it's like thin crust base, and it's kind of like posh tuck shop pizza. And I know that sounds bad, but sometimes you want like a little bit of a street food tuck shop experience. Anyways, this pizzeria is called Urban Crust, which is fine as a name, I think. Urban Crust, have you been there? Have you tried the pizza?
No, not yet, but I did hear of them.
So I ordered this pizza. It came, enjoyed the pizza. I closed the box and I looked at their payoff line. And their payoff line is crust your gut.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. You put in the crust in the stomach, trust your guts. I think it's one of the best copywriting examples I've ever seen. It goes, just do it. Impossible is nothing. Trust your gut for me.
And then sheer driving pleasure.
Sheer driving pleasure. Or voorsprong technique, which is a good one.
So trust your gut is up there.
I don't know.
For me, it kind of sounds like kind of bacteria that you would get in your like colon, like gut crust or something. Sorry, that's very gross. But that's what I was thinking. Is like, you know, it's a little bit
like maybe crust your insect would have been better, but it's not as catchy.
Not as catchy. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. So the next one is, so Jacque and I, we went to this wedding. He went to a wedding. I tagged along, not to the wedding, but just the whole trip. And we came across, we got lost a little bit. We were looking for a petrol station. And we came across this place called Lipko Meat, which is fine as a name. And the payoff line is all kinds of meaty goodness. And for me, it was like, okay, cool. You've got all kinds of meaty goodness. You get chicken, you get beef, you get pork. Like, what are all kinds? And then I went to their website and they actually have all kinds. So it's like polonies and it's just, I don't know. For me, it was like a bit of a weird one. Like, what kind of meaty goodness? What kind of meaty goodnesses are out there, you know?
What's behind the counter is what I want to know. What else is on offer?
It makes you think, like, what are they putting in the meat?
That's a curtain.
All kinds of meaty goodness. No
compliment.
Lambert's Bay or something, right? So if you need meat in Lambert's Bay, they've got all kinds of meaty goodness for you.
Go to Liebco. Okay. Okay, and then the last one is a courier company called Skynet Worldwide Express. And their line is, "We'd love to handle your package."
Everyone's handling things today. Handle your shelf.
Why is it
Just
always
handle-
sexual innuendo, you know?
Well,
Handle
you
your-
know, that's kind of what I'm wondering.
Because you have to think about the people who run these companies and who they are and like what kind of jokes they tell. It's indicative of like the ownership, right? So these guys are like the guys around the braai who make like bad dad jokes. It's like my uncle in a group chat. It's kind of those kind of jokes. You like
It's like Ryan in a group chat. What are you on about?
who's like a dirty uncle.
Actually
Yeah.
started
Yeah,
a
but for
group
real-
chat, the three of us.
As guys,
Yeah.
and a courier company says to you, "We'd love to handle your package." How does that make you feel?
Erect.
For me, like, it would be difficult to handle my package, you know?
Oh.
Not because it's, you
Because
know,
you have to find it first.
yeah. So I would feel a little bit emasculated. Is that the word?
Probably.
Yeah.
Depends on what the courier guy looks like, you know.
I wouldn't.
If Johnny Depp shows up, I don't know if Johnny Depp's on. If Johnny Depp shows up, I'll be like, okay, man. Where do I sign?
Would you use that courier company, and then as the guy, when the guy comes to fetch your package, then you like play into that, you know, if you come to handle my package, you could, you know.
Did you bring
It would
extra
be a bit-
salami?
Would you love to handle my package, if you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
And then you do the popcorn box trick. Here's my package.
Yeah. Can you ship this?
What is that Lonely Island song? Dick in a box.
Exactly.
It's my dick in a box.
Guess what's in this box? All kinds of meaty goodness.
Thanks, Jacque.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy. And then you proceed to pleasure yourself.
Exactly.
That's why we brought you on the show, Alex, to
To make me die a little inside.
throw this innuendo at you. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That brings us to the end. And I think now we've got a chance to kind of talk about like the cool projects that we're working on, if any. I know, Alex, mind if I talk about your project?
No.
So you don't mind?
Yeah.
Well, it's your horticultural adventures that you're doing at your folks' place. You're doing like nice garden work there.
Yeah, so when I'm not wanting to punch people through a laptop for being stupid, that's what I do. Spend my time in the garden growing nice things that I can eat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. What have you grown?
Radishes, passion fruit, spinach, lettuce, rocket, basil, parsley, tomatoes, mint. Yeah.
Wow, you got like everything you need there.
Yeah, bruh.
Sure.
I like the whole being self-sufficient thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's rad. Is passion fruit and grenadilla different? This is a stupid
No,
question. Same thing. Okay, cool. Because I was like, passion fruit tastes a lot like grenadilla, but I'm not sure.
no, it's totally the same thing. It's just
Oh.
different naming according to where in the world you are, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different naming, but yeah.
Because someone had to
Same.
come up with the fact that like this fruit is grenadilla, but for me it's passion.
Passion in my mouth.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
It's like
These
the difference
purple-
between like
big
an
purple-
eggplant and an
Oops.
aubergine and a melanzane, or a courgette, baby marrow, you know,
Mhm.
Oh. Or a dick emoji. And
or a dick emoji. So yeah, Alex currently does have some cool projects, but on the go. But I think they're top secret, so we can't discuss them now. We can maybe revisit
Yeah.
when you decide to come on the show again, if ever.
Yeah, I'll see how quickly I sort of heal from this session and all the innuendos. So I'm a freelancer, so work on quite a few projects, one specifically at the moment, but I suppose we always need to look forward. So there's a lot of cool stuff lined up, but yeah, all very hush hush at the moment. But hopefully next time we'll be able to discuss them more in depth.
Yeah. The project about like going to live in Iceland, that was a very nice project. I enjoyed that. Alex keeps sending out these pictures of like the Northern Lights and like all these cool cabins in the woods and the mountains and stuff. I think that would be a cool project to do. To just, you know, it's not a thing that you make money. I think it's just a thing that you enjoy.
Well, you know what? I've actually been doing a lot more research into it because obviously as a producer, I'm less creative. So for creatives, it's a lot easier to work remotely than say an office job or someone who has to deal with admin and finance and that sort of stuff. But there are so many people who are able to go and live remotely and still work. And I think if this pandemic's taught us anything, it's that we can actually all work remotely and don't have to be in an office.
Yeah.
So that is one long-term goal, is to be able to be like, hey, we've proven we can work remotely. I have an internet connection. I'm going to go and hop around and have the Wanderlust actually become a form of living and still make money in the background.
Pandemic.
Yeah.
What pandemic?
Coronavirus.
Oh, that.
Cardi B.
I've heard of that one. Shit.
You heard of Cardi?
We can't be in the same room because of that thing. Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean,
so Jacque.
So Ryan,
projects that you're working on, because you know you're a bit of a beat maker.
Not at the moment. I mean, yeah. I mean, in terms of advertising, no, I'm working, which is good in this situation, this environment. But no, I mean, I think the beats, the producing, is what I do after 5 or 6 or 7 or whenever I finish doing what I'm doing. And that's just cool, man. Like it's a good way to like kind of decompress and get like the dirt off my day off and put some like creativity to good use. So I'm working on a project now with a guy called Inspector Gadget, not like the cartoon, but much like the cartoon. And I'm just producing songs for him. And he's going to put out like a tape or something soon, produced by me. And then I'm going to probably work on something like my own project where I still like, you know, write my own lyrics and rap and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'll see how that goes. I'm a bit old now to be a rapper, which is why I got into production, because it's like, yeah, you can only be a rapper for so long until you're a bit old to rap. So I'm kind of getting to that point. So I'm just like, working on production. It's just kind of fun, man, to like it's also fun not to like, I have a client effectively, but he doesn't pay me. So, you know, he doesn't really get to call the shots. I go, here's a beat, take it or leave it. I don't have to go, what do you think about this? Should I change the color? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really nice to like create something and go, this is the best version of this thing that I can do for you. Accept it as it is or don't. Like, it's cool because there's no money exchange. I don't feel indebted to this guy. He doesn't have to, like, he doesn't pay me. I'm just going, here's a cool thing for you, like it or not. And that's the best part of, I think, doing side projects or maybe stuff that doesn't make you money. I know it sounds weird to say, but like, it's more creative in that sense because I do what I want. And if he doesn't like it, oh, well, you don't pay me. Don't take it. Which is great. I think it's there's a little bit of freedom in that. It's free creativity in both sides of the word. But yeah, that's keeping me going. Yourself, anything cool on the side?
There's something that I just want to touch on because apparently you're involved in like podcast / YouTube channel called Bleed. You know. So what's that all about?
Oh, you know, it's a couple of guys that are up to no good, making trouble in their neighborhood. and just talking about, yeah, I think talking about advertising and all the like, the good and the bad, mostly the bad, but yeah, it's interesting just to kind of get a perspective on like, because I think there's a few people in the industry and like we've got all unique experiences, and I think it's interesting to get people's experiences in this industry because it's still quite interesting, and I don't think the general public knows what's going on. They see Mad Men or they see Generations. They think that's what advertising is, but when
People
you
have
like
definitely seen Generations.
exactly, but when you look behind the plastic
Soap opera.
curtain, what really goes on, I think people will be surprised, or maybe not. Maybe people know what's going on, but I think it's good to kind of reveal the good and bad of an industry that people kind of have the opinions of. Because I think when I tell people I'm in advertising, they think I'm like, snorting coke off people's bits, but I'm not anymore.
Not all the time.
More.
Not all the
Any
time
more.
anymore, or any
It's
less.
all about the word, dude.
Yes. But yeah, I think it's good to kind of give people like I wish, to be honest, when I was a student or when I was like kind of starting in the industry, I wish people were more transparent about what would really happen. So then I know that I should become an accountant. But now it's too late. So I think it's important to kind of give people, like a real transparent view of what goes on, the good and the bad. And I think it's cool. I think we're providing a service for the guys who want to pleasure themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should have done this in the previous segment, but speaking of the good and the bad, I just want to maybe, if you guys can think of a moment when you realized I'm in advertising now and this is it, this is what it is. And I'll share my experience. It was one of my early jobs. I shifted around quite a bit, like in the early years. And the moment I realized, like, this thing is actually a bit bigger than what your perception is, all that Mad Men stuff that you were talking about, or Generations. I realized, like, there's some crazy people in advertising, and this moment, like, really, like, hit it home for me. It was just like, that afternoon lull in a day when it's kind of like 3 p.m. There's that awkward kind of silence of, like, people are kind of working, not working, they're chilling on Facebook, and there was this lull in this agency that I was working at, and it was kind of like it was like a sweatshop. We were all on top of each other, and this lady just burst into the room, kind of like that scene from Pulp Fiction where she's like, every motherfucking one of you
move, and I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you.
And she's holding this bag of rotisserie chicken, pre-made rotisserie Ziploc bag rotisserie chicken. She's holding this thing up, and she's like going to every single person, and she's like, who the fuck ate a piece of my chicken? And she's like, yeah. I was just like, what the fuck's going on? She's like, I hope you fucking enjoyed that piece of chicken because I rubbed it all over my vagina.
Oh.
In an open plan office, we all packed like sardines. And she's like, I hope you fucking enjoyed that piece of chicken because I rubbed it all over my vagina and I have gonorrhea and syphilis.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. And then I proceeded to like lick my fingers and I was like, that's what that taste was. No, I didn't eat the chicken. But
you did it.
But the thing is, I think that was the moment where I was like, this isn't like a desk job. This isn't an office job. This is what it means to be in advertising, And that was the moment where I was like,
I'm glad.
Maybe I should become, I don't know, an accountant, or I was terrible at accounting. I could never do accounting.
I can never balance a sheet.
But yeah, that for me, I was just like, I have arrived.
I know. That's not a nice place to be, dude. Gross. Well, that must I'm just trying to think. Like, I think I've been quite fortunate in the sense that my experience in advertising sort of was more backward to forward. Like, generally, when you're a junior, you get ground to a pulp and become everyone's bitch, essentially. Excuse my language. But I was really lucky that when I started in the industry, I worked with a team that was like a really close-knit family, you know. So everyone had each other's backs, and everyone was free to be like beautifully creative and inspired, and you know, working all-nighters was fun because we knew that we loved what we did, and you know, it would be worth it, and everyone loved our thinking. Whereas, but I mean, back then that was in post-production. Then you move into agency and it is 24/7 and it's all-nighters all the time and working your ass off, but there's never any like, well done guys, like your hard work paid off, the client's really happy. It's like, why was your work so average? Sorry, what? Why is it average, dude? Like, we worked really hard on this, the client's super happy, we pulled out all the stops. Yeah, but you know, it could have been better. It's not going to win awards. And I think that for me is like my bone of contention in advertising, is like awards should come to those who deserve them, 100%. I think if your ideas are amazing, they deserve to win awards. But it's all been built completely around winning awards. There's no more like, fuck, you know, like, actually I had this dream, and now that you've brought up this idea, like maybe we should just think out of the box and, you know, just be free to be creative and come up with this awesome idea that's going to be flippin' awesome to make. Instead it's like, but is it going to win me a Grand Prix? You're like, no bro, 90% of it won't win us a Grand Prix. Maybe it'll win us a bronze lorry, but you know, it's always about awards. So there's no like freedom to just think. There's no freedom to just play. And I think that's why I liked your little segment just now about I Know a Guy, because as cheesy or punny or weird as those were, like it was somebody genuinely being creative, you know, and like with no guidelines, no one being like, fuck no, you can't say that shit. You know, it's someone being like, I'm so funny, I'm so punny, like everyone's gonna love this. And it is, it's unforgettable. I'm gonna remember that. It's some of it not so much as I want to, but you know, like that for me is the thing, like being creative and feeling like your work is worth something. And like, cool, I worked a 23-hour day and I've had an hour of sleep and I'm back at the office, but it's going to be worth it because I'm going to be proud of my work and it's going to look awesome. And my team knows that, you know, we've really collaborated and done some really cool shirts. You know, that to me is advertising. That was why I got into advertising, because that's what I loved. And now you look at it and you're like, oh, really? So I don't know. Some days I love advertising. Some days I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Why don't I have a BCom degree? If I'm going to be doing a desk job, why aren't I earning 3 times what I should be? You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you think, Jacque?
No, man, I hear you. I think, there is. I mean, I've had good experiences. I've had very short experiences, and not like only when I was a junior. I mean, when I was a junior, I literally like, I remember my first job, I was like so overworked and underpaid, and like I would like work till 3 a.m, drive all the way back to Alberton from Sandton, and come in at like 7 and like finish utter nonsense, to be honest with you. And I remember like crying, and like we had like a little photographic studio, and I had like asked for the key for it. And I just went to sit there and I cried in it. I was like, man, I hope this gets better. And then like last year I worked like 36 hours straight, like, you know, like 3 days with like a friend of mine, well, a colleague. And it was like the worst experience. And like when we came back in the morning and everyone reviewed the work, they were like, this was shit. They're like, this is shit. And why isn't this done? And why isn't it further than it should be? And I was just like, in 12 years, I'm still like feeling emotional and crying in the studio. But there's been good times, and I made great friends, and there's been cool parties, and there's been like crazy stories that, like, you know, wouldn't have happened if I was anywhere else. So it's like it's a love-hate love relationship that I think maybe when you're in it, you kind of get, I don't know, maybe they make me work 36 hours because they really love me, and you pretend you fell down the stairs because that's love, and that's what advertising does. Oh, I just walked into the knob. This blue.
The knob.
I think that might Stockholm syndrome. Just putting that
Yeah.
out there.
Well, yeah, maybe that's it, right? But yeah, man, it's one of those things where I think I haven't figured out how to transition out of it. I think a lot of people, I think advertising is amazing in the sense that it brings you around such creative like minds and like people and like friendships also. Like the three of us know each other because of advertising, and you're around these people and you get inspired by these people. They're so talented, and then you've tried to figure out a way to go. You're using this talent for this industry, and you're doing great work for these clients, and they're getting bonuses and doing crazy things because of the hard work you've done, and maybe you don't get as much benefits as like the people you do the work for. But I think there is a way where you can figure out that you know how to do it, you know how to sell a product, you know how to like create a CI or look and feel for a brand, and if you get to do it for yourself, and I don't mean in the sense of doing it for an agency, I think you figure out that I've built brands, I know how to market things, I have all these skills now, I know how to do After Effects, for instance, so I know how to edit, I know how to do all these things because of these skills you learned in advertising. And if you can use that to create something you love, then maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth crying in the studio for when you figure it out. But it takes a long time, and I think some people do it. Some people like can convert that energy or that creativity into something that benefits them directly, as opposed to benefiting the agency or benefiting the client. So that's kind of it, man. I think like I'm not remorseful or whatever. I think I've learned a lot and I've made great friendships, but I think at some point I need to go, how can I take everything I've learned and the connections I've made and like these people I've met, and how can I use this to do something better? Because I'm doing a lot for brands, I'm doing a lot for my team or my agency, but at some point I need to do it for me. And that's it.
So in other words,
Interesting you should say that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I'm just saying, like, I'm year 11. Yeah, year 11 in advertising now this year. And last year, year 10, I was just like, I'm so tired of killing myself to make more money. So I think advertising is very much a cycle as well, because it's love, hate, love. Definitely a little bit of Stockholm syndrome thrown in there. Yeah. But you reach a point where you're like, cool, I've learned so much. I've done so much for these companies and for these brands, and but what does it do for me? How can I make my life happier to a degree, while still doing what makes me happy? And I think that's also how I became a freelancer, is because I was like, cool, I can still use my skill set. It just means that I'm not beholden to an agency. I'm on a contract basis. I can work when I need to, if I'm lucky enough to have work, which is the con of freelance. But at the same time, you can be your own boss, and you can go, cool, I've reached my quota for back and forth and rude emails or tired people. I'm cool, I'm going to hand over my project, I've finished everything, and walk away. And I think you're right, you do learn a hell of a lot being in those institutions, and you learn a lot about business as well. Even as a creative, you're going to understand, why those KPIs are there and what we are driven to do to deliver in order to run a business, which I think you don't learn just being a creative, doing cool stuff on your own. So I think there are definitely pros to being in an agency, and you learn a hell of a lot really fast. But I do think that there comes a time, maybe before our 10, 11 year mark, it's definitely, for me, it was the decade. And I was like, cool, I've worked really hard. I'm done now. I need to go live my life. Thank you for teaching me, but also I'm done.
Yeah, I think it's similar to a lot of industries, really. So like, even if you work in a hospital and stuff, I'm sure it's hard, and you get treated like crap, and you have to, they just throw you in this ward, and now you need to deal with like burn victims the whole time. Sorry to bring the tone down again, but it's just like, it's traumatic, and I don't think it's exclusive to advertising. And I suppose it's one of those things that you have to go through to like kind of earn your stripes kind of thing. So I don't think it's exclusive to advertising. I'm sure like even working in the restaurant industry or being a chef kind of thing, You know, you watch all of those reality shows and you see the kinds of abuse that chefs go through. And it's like, it's hectic working in a restaurant situation. You've got like Gordon Ramsay bollocking you, you know, Gordon Ramsay type. And it's like, what that does is it ups your standard and it makes you tougher. But I get what you're saying. You reach a kind of ceiling at some stage where you're like, okay, cool. I can't just be taking a bollocking my whole life. You know, I can't just be beholden to like someone's bad day or whatever. And there comes a point where you got to do something for yourself or create a cool project. And I think, I think working in this industry gives you that skill set where you're like, okay, cool. I can actually do a different kind of venture now, whatever that may be, you know? So yeah, I think it is part of the process. But yeah, I find, that's interesting shit that you guys said. I liked what you said about never being good enough, you know, always having the standard that's like unachievable, where it's like, we could have won awards with this, we could have. And that for me stems from college and studying advertising. The highest grade we could ever get was 75. I think you couldn't get higher than 75. So you're already in a mindset of like, you're a little bit not good enough, if that makes sense. So the highest you could get was 75. And remember, if you got 65, that was good. And then anything below 50 was a fail. I don't know if you remember that, Jacque.
Yeah, no.
So they're already indoctrinating you.
I was like 51, 52. I was like,
oh yeah, the highest I got was like 58. I was like, thank you.
Got to like AAA and I was like failing, and I was like, I've never failed in my life. It was such a, like, it's like immediately it's like whatever confidence you had from like high school or whatever, gone. You're just like, okay, you're shit now.
85
and I felt like
skills.
Yeah. Oh, you thought you were cool in high school, huh? Prefect, SR, fuck you. Nothing. 52.
But I think we're gonna leave it there. I suppose it would be nice to kind of give out. Imagine if there was like an email address that we could just put out right now that people could contact us on the show. Like, would be good to have something like that, right?
Ryan Whyte at hotmail.org.
.org. Well, we actually do have an email address if you'd like to write into the show. I'm expecting like 2 emails from at least. One from Alex, one from Jacque. So the email address is bleedadvertising at gmail.com, and that is one word. It would be cool if we had like a website.
Would be cool. If we were to create one, I would assume it would be like bleedadvertising.com, for instance.
It actually is that. Now and imagine if you could read us on Twitter.
Bleed Show, maybe? At
Bleed Show. At Bleed Show. What else is there? Instagram. That's quite a cool platform to be on nowadays.
What about bleed_advertising?
Yep. Let's go with that. And I suppose YouTube, bleed advertising.
But like with the space.
I suppose we should mention Patreon, because we kind of, you know, we're kind of funding this thing ourselves.
Yeah. So if you want to see our nudes.
Yeah. If you want to see nudes of Jacque and myself,
Alex
is the photographer.
Unwilling photographer.
Yeah, just buy us a coffee on Patreon to kind of support the show, and then we will send you nudes.
Yeah, so bleed space advertising, I guess.
It will be our body, and because we know Photoshop, we will just exaggerate a few pieces of the anatomy, like the shoulder.
Yeah, like our nipple, massive nipples, just like.
Yeah.
That's it.
I can't with you guys.
People might want. We're just pleasuring ourselves, okay? Anyways, let's leave it there, and thanks so much for spending your Sunday morning with us.
Well, whenever you watch it, if you watch it.
Well, I'm gonna watch.
Fair.
You're gonna watch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it back and just see, you know, rate your editing skills, and then I'm gonna belittle you a little bit, you know, just so you don't forget what advertising's about.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Give me 85%. 55, 75?
74.5.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.